All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode or the pilot episode of the Scenic Route from the original podcast OGs. We've been podcast when podcast wasn't cool. We started in 2016. I'm AJ York,
I'm Terrence York.
and this is the Scenic Route podcast, given to you, brought to you by two young fellows growing up in the mean streets of Houston, Scenic Woods. We call it Scenic Wood, Texas. We grew up and came up in the crack era. So we want to start a show that's going to talk about our ups and downs, some of the ups and downs, people that we know, our struggle to survive. We're first generation college students, college graduates, first generation working hard to achieve everything that we worked hard to achieve for. We'll give you some more about our background as the show progresses. But we want to talk a little bit about our history. Terrence, in 2016, we started the show, my brother.
That's right, my friend.
How did you feel doing that podcast during that time? Did you think it was a crazy idea or what?
I thought it was a crazy idea, and surprisingly, I'm surprised that we didn't push through because knowing what we know now in terms of what the benefits of podcasting,
Right.
we were way ahead of the curve.
Right, way ahead of the curve. I mean, monetizing and advertising and everything else now is taking podcasts in totally different direction. One of the reasons why I want to start a podcast is I don't think we have enough togetherness as a people. I don't think we see enough of our stories reflected in what I see on the internet. I don't know, maybe somebody else says some other internet stuff, but
I think the most important thing that I wanted to bring to our viewers and our listeners is that I wanted to provide them with information that's going to take them off the beaten path from what's currently existing out there on the internet, and give them an avenue where they can basically talk about their life situations and bring them into our world and let them know how we were able to cope with everything that we dealt with during our adolescent years and adult years.
Yeah, man, it's a mixed bag. I've been a sports radio fan since mom was driving us to pick up dad from work. You know, that's the only thing you had to listen to on the radio. Was
740 AM.
Right, but now it's all podcasts. I'm a Drink Champs fanatic. Shout out to Drink Champs. I mean, I listen to that content all the time. I listen to some other people that are doing some positive things with their podcast, man. It's inspiring to see how many stories that are out there that we don't know about, from our youth growing up. And you always think that you got it bad, but somebody else had it worse than you did. Or you thought just overnight people became celebrities, and you don't know their backstories. And just getting to know the backstories of people, is kind of what inspired me to start this podcast back up again. Especially patronizing business owners and young Black businesses. There are a lot of people that are out there that are doing a lot of positive things, and it's a struggle for them. So I kind of want to highlight that too.
Speaking of which, this segment of the Scenic Route is being sponsored by Grow Something That Matters. It's a clothing line that has been started by my seed, my son, Casey, Tony Shabazz York. And so we're gonna, if people want to click on the QR code, they can do so and support Black owned businesses by purchasing their merchandise. And we have a few other local sponsors that will be featuring on future podcasts. And I'm excited about partnering with them and just being able to highlight their accomplishments that they're making in the community.
Man, that's really dope. And I'm not saying that because he's my nephew, but I recognize his grind. I support his hustle, man. I also too have some good friends of mine that's got some amazing stories. You know, Reggie's gonna come on next week and he's gonna tell his powerful story, you know, and just recreating himself. You know, that's one thing I want to talk about too. You know, my barber spent some time incarcerated. I didn't know his story. You never know what people are going through until they sit down and talk to you about it and tell you what's going on. And you know, I feel like they need support, they need the love, they need the advertisement, they need the shout outs to sort of encourage our people to you know keep going with what they're doing.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to sitting down and sharing, and with them sharing their stories with us, so that we can gain a deeper understanding of some of the things that they went through and how they were able to overcome some of the obstacles that they faced growing up.
Yeah, man. You know, it's funny you say that. I was I was watching this dude, man, today. I kind of want to give him credit, but I don't know his name, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to have him on. He's a food critic, man, and they giving him the blues, man, about St. Louis barbecue. You know, and he doesn't like it very much, but I mean that's his job. You have to understand, you know, credibility is very important.
Right.
If you have a business, everybody's not gonna like your food. Everybody's not gonna like your clothes. Everybody's not gonna like your car
But
washing.
Amos, if you put white sauce on barbecue meat,
Hey man,
if you put white sauce on your barbecue meat, I don't care who you are, that's a crime.
I mean it is a crime. Bland meat is a crime. You know, you just don't want no ball meat, but you know, that's some people that's doing it right. Shout out to Lil Mo's Potatoes on the Beltway, bruh,
I have yet to eat Lil Mo's potatoes, but I've
bruh,
heard so many wonderful things about
bruh,
them.
bruh. Steak and lobster potato, my boy.
That is some big back theory right there, baby.
Hey, $45, bro, but it's worth every penny.
$45?
35 for the chopped beef, brother. It's 2 meals.
Oh my
Hey,
goodness.
bro, the line is long. The line is crazy. I went out there in the heat, my brother. I risked stroke territory to get their baked potato.
Look, you sweat out 5 pounds and you gain another 10 pounds with the potato.
And bro, you know that's like 22 minutes from my house. So I did take the scenic route to get to the baked potato. But trust me, trust and believe. Shout out to Lil Mo. Y'all just put Lil Mo's baked potatoes in your Instagram and thank me later.
I'm putting it in my GPS right now.
Thank me later, my brother. I mean the lemonade, Terrence. It ain't no regular lemons in that lemonade.
Is it diabetic lemonade?
Oh my gosh. You might have to get some insulin. But it's dope, man. You know,
Should sue him for name infringement.
nah, I'm Big Mo. You know, I'm Big Mo. But you know, that's the type of support that we need. You know, mostly because you know you see these food trucks and sometimes they're charging you $45. $45 is a lot of money for a working person.
Right.
So at least it's worth the $45. You know what I'm saying? I've been
Exactly.
to some food trucks. Well, I felt like they should have cut me a check after the food was done. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we want to support those businesses, man. Make sure everybody know what they at. Make sure we know their story, why they started, how they're doing, you know, and man, just down the street from me, there was a restaurant opened up about 6 months ago, Terrence. It's closed.
Hey, in this economy, it doesn't take much for it to close. I mean, that door has to open and close several times in order for you to make a profit. especially in Houston, where it's ultra competitive in terms of being able to provide a product to the consumer. And when you look at the number of restaurants that have closed over the last 5 years, it's amazing in terms of like these people were just here a week ago and the doors have already closed.
Man, and it's crazy too, because some of the stuff is good food, man. You know, shout out to Rachel's Diner. Rest in peace. R.I.P. Rachel's Diner. I was in there. I was in there for the shrimp and grits, my boy. I was in there for the breakfast, you know. But I think one of the issues might have been the buffet. You know, I don't think people are ready for a buffet. You ready for a post-COVID buffet, man?
That's the biggest issue I've seen. There's a Chinese restaurant over here off of 1960 and Veterans Memorial, and I drove past the other day and it was packed. I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for somebody to be breathing over my food again.
I don't. And you know, me and my wife was talking. It's like something as simple as birthday cakes. Why was we blowing out candles? I mean, why are we blowing out candles, my bro?
We basically inviting somebody to get sick at a birthday party.
You might as well just lick me. Lick me in my face. I don't want that cake. Sir, that's just your slice. That's your slice, okay?
We're allowing a toothless person with bacteria. Happy birthday. Would you like a slice of cake?
Thank you. I don't want no COVID cake, sir. But it takes a lot to start a business, and it also takes a lot to maintain a business. We saw that with our podcast. I mean, it's a commitment. 30 minutes to an hour of your time. Then you got to come up with subject matter. Then you got to find something to talk about. Then you got to brand it. You have to open yourself up to criticism, whether it be good criticism or bad criticism. You got.
I don't know if you recall the first podcast we did, Death of a Lunch Lady.
Yeah.
You remember that we're talking about the school system and how they went from the lady with the neck cap on who was actually cooking food in the lunchroom,
right,
to a microwave,
right.
And so the crazy part about it is they put all of these provisions in the school system that basically said, hey, we want you to start feeding kids and making healthier choices. Right. And they went in the opposite direction.
Man, let me tell you something about them healthy choices. I'm a school teacher, so I know. My brother, I asked one of the ladies, I was like, hey, ma'am, where do y'all eat? Oh, I eat down in the cafeteria. I was like, bet that when a black person give you a recommendation of somewhere to eat, you know it's good. You kind of expect it to be good. So I went down there and they was like, let me get 6 wings. And she was like, that'll be $1.40. $1.40, say word. So I got my little wings and they didn't look all appetizing or whatever, but I'm thinking $1.40, you know, these ones. Bro, worst toilet trouble in my life. My life. I mean, it was like you could just got a pack of wings and drizzle some hot sauce on it and stuck it in the microwave, my boy.
You had to take them boys, them little kids to the Super Bowl after that, huh?
Hey, man, ain't nothing worse than being a school teacher and have the devil hit you in the stomach.
But you have the teachers lounge, right?
You got to get there. I'm on the second floor, my brother. You got to get there. You got to get there. You can't call a timeout.
Ain't no 20-second timeout with coaches. I mean, with teachers.
No, you got to run and pray that you have extra clothing.
And Febreze.
It's rough. It's rough out there, my boy. But, you know, just things have changed, man, tremendously when it comes to school. I feel so sorry for those kids, man. You know, they give them the breakfast in the bag in the morning and maybe a hot honey bun that's been in the warmer, you know, and it got that little hard crust on the bottom. Hey man, they had during testing time, you know, testing time is most craziest time for a teacher. It's the most restrictive time of your teaching career. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go nowhere, you can't be on your phone, you can't do nothing. So they brought the kids lunch one day, man, and they brought these sandwiches in there, and it was in a bag. They had milk in there, they had a sandwich, a sub sandwich, and they was like, "Mr. York, you want a sandwich?" I was like, "Yeah, I could eat." Man, I looked at that meat, it was sweaty. I don't think I want no sweaty meat. Pause.
So, so did that meat identify as a ham?
I don't know what it was. I mean, it was the word that everybody using these. It was diabolical. It was diabolical, and the milk had a smell to it.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, this milk not good. I mean, it's just
I mean, I've never been. Let me preface this to all of our podcasts study. I've never been to jail before.
mhm.
But what it sounds like they're preparing these kids to be institutionalized because
Mm.
that's the same meal that they give you in the county.
No, it's a little different in that county. Mm-mm. That bologna have ridges on it.
So it's a step above. So maybe juvie
A
is
step,
a
step
is a
above.
juvie lunch.
Man, I seen two grown men fight over a peanut butter and jelly wafer in
What?
prison, in jail. Sorry, not prison, jail. Yeah, peanut butter and jelly wafer, my boy. Arguing over it and a baby juice. You know, little small
Yeah.
juices, a baby juice, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But times have changed, you know. Um, but I want to talk to young Queso, the young Jedi. Introduce my nephew to the world.
So this next young man is a graduate of Prairie View A&M. He has a bachelor's degree in business administration.
Yeah,
Um, he's what I call a Jamaican Renaissance man because he has like 9,000 jobs, man. He does photography. He's doing real estate. So he's also his own brand ambassador.
yeah,
So I'm uber proud of him, man, because if it's to be done, he's doing it, and he's been on the grind since probably about his sophomore year of college, um, and he just developed. He came up with this tagline of "Grow something that matters," and um, it's not just for him. It's not just a tagline, but it's a lifestyle. I was sharing with a group this weekend, speaking to a youth group at the church, and I was telling them that I'm fortunate enough that um, I have two individuals in my house that have invested in themselves. One is my daughter; she's a graduate of Prairie View A&M as well, and she's
you know,
agriculture major, and so she's very interested in creating her own sustainable farm. And my son is growing things organically. So with the both of them, I think there's a whole lot that I see that's in store to for them in the future. And if I can ever get him to come to the stage, I would probably gonna hear a lot of great and wonderful things from this young man in the years to come. And he's been not only an inspiration to me, but to the other his peers, and I just I want to introduce him to the world, Mr. KC.
Yo,
What's up? What's up? First and foremost, young Queso, let's talk about the mistake you made. The biggest mistake of your life, my brother. He's a proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi.
you know it. Yo to the good news.
Yeah. The Sigmas must have been on probation. That's
Something like that, between the color pick of blue and red, it was a tough pull.
It was a tough pull. Well, I just want to say this. I go on record, and I know I brag about him all the time. He's my favorite nephew. That's because he was first, and I am so proud of him. I talk him up everywhere I go. I'm proud of him. Man, I have no words, but I respect your hustle. I respect your grind. I know for sure there are about 10 people that's trying to grow their own brand, that's trying to do their own thing, that's trying to have their own clothing line. Tell us about, number one, why did you decide to have your own brand and your own line of clothes? And number two, what sets you apart from everybody else?
So something that really drove me to have my own brand was just something that was kind of still with me. I mean, from as a kid, my grandfather, for the most part, my dad's dad, y'all's dad, always instilled in ownership to some degree. And as I gotten older, understanding that, having control over different things, having, to be able to express yourself fully your way is something I find to be very important. And once I definitely found the space to where I was like, hey, I could definitely build myself up a platform, not only for myself, but for other people to express themselves too. It just drove, kind of redefined how, the importance of ownership in that totality of it, to be able to drive whatever initiatives that come my way or whatever avenues I see fit, I'll be able to position myself and kind of provide that avenue for other people as well. But
Okay.
but I feel like the first aspect of anything, of growing anything for the most part, is honing in on what it is you truly want to grow and what type of impact it is that you want to truly give as well too. So just knowing yourself first and foremost, I feel like is very important before starting anything. But although that changes through time, but kind of honing in on where you at the current moment kind of allows you to see, what type of impact you can provide and kind of where you can expound it from there.
So your vision was very important to you.
For sure.
Where you saw yourself. So this is the name of the show is the Scenic Route. Let's talk about some things that I think are very important. Hardship, haters, all of that stuff. Getting around that to where you want to be. Let me tell you why I say that. I saw something on World Star the other day, and I don't know what made me do it. I commented. I commented on something, bro. And bro,
it ate you up, I bet.
Whoa, bro. Bro, in a matter of seconds, bro. In a matter of seconds, I was like, man, I will never do that again. And I was just being upfront and honest. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's 1,000 times magnified when you're trying to put something out there for you that people may or may not be down with. How you overcome that?
Honestly, that's probably one of the biggest hurdles I've probably overcome since starting something, like this. That's always been something of mine that, I mean, with going through this process, I've just found that's kind of a hardship with my own, trying to make sure, because when you make something, you want something to be copacetic for everybody. You want everybody to kind of enjoy it. You want people to find pieces of themselves in it so that, it doesn't really have any dead ends. But like you said, everything isn't for everybody. And kind of with me putting things out and kind of just going through those hills and valleys, I figured out, if it's important to me and if it's something that I feel like is complete in what I wanted to give, I've done pretty much all I can give. You know, whoever wants it or whoever needs it will grab it how they see fit. But I can't focus on satisfying everybody or everything. So I think the biggest thing I've learned kind of going through that space is satisfy yourself. You know, forget, you know, hone in on the people that are applauding, the people that are tapped in to that degree, and, you know, just keep pushing it, because focusing on all the naysayers and the haters in that sense, I mean, you talk about a low percentage, you know, to what really is truly happening around you. And I think just focusing also too on good energy, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know, you don't want to put out something with the intent of somebody not liking it. You know, everything's supposed to be supposed to be some type of fulfillment around, like, okay, this is something I created for myself. Shoot, I'm about to share this with the world, regardless of who it is.
But that hater voice is like a loud pack. You feel me? It's like standing in the line at Walmart and the dude behind you smell like weed. You know what I'm saying? It's loud. It's loud. But I was watching TV with my pops. You know, it's funny you brought him up. And I was watching what's the guy's name, Terrence? Is it Miles Monroe?
Miles Monroe, the guy from the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, and he said something that stuck with me. I don't know how old I was, but he was like, the richest man on earth is the man who refuses to care about what other people think of him. And I was like, what? But it's true, though. It's true. If you can shake that voice from other people and kind of dumb down all of the noise that's going on around you, you can really press through, because it's a phase. In my experience, it's just a phase. Because even as a man, I don't know about y'all generation, but my generation, Terrence's generation, you'll come to an event fly, right?
Right.
And you know you fly, right? You took the time to get the outfit, you put it on,
right?
It's fly, and people won't compliment you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They won't compliment you, but you'll have that one dude that comes, I see you, you know, that's how black people compliment each other.
Right.
I see you, York. And it only takes that one I see you for you to really know that people dig what you have on. And then a couple weeks later, you'll see that same person that didn't compliment you with what you had on. I mean, the exact thing that you had on or something similar. Literally. You know what I'm saying? So
let me share something with you though, Amos. So the show title is called The Scenic Route, right? The one thing about the Scenic Route is it's an unconventional way of getting to where you desire. And the key to the scenic route is that there's not going to be very many travelers on the path that you take.
True that.
Right? Because when you're destined to do a certain thing, you don't really care about getting there at a particular time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you don't really care about the naysayers and the negative comments that you're going to receive along the way. You're really more focused on the end journey. And I think that's the one thing that Casey had to deal with to try to set himself apart, to say, you know what, even though I may be getting these comments or negative feedback, I'm going to continue on my journey because I have an end goal in mind.
Right. And you know, that's true, Terrence. I know you remember, but you don't know who was watching you when you was working 2 jobs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I was watching you. You feel me? Mm-hmm. I was watching Queso. I was watching your daddy.
It's a thing.
Bro would come to church sometimes, eyes bloodshot red, or he would pull up at home. I was like, this Negro just got on me for the leave again, because we lived across the street from each other.
Yeah.
But when the time came for me to step into that role and do some of the things that I saw my brother doing, I was like, man, I got to get out here. I got to get it. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw my brother doing it. That's how he came up. You know, that's how I got some of the things that I got in my life. It's like, I don't care how tired I am. I got a goal. Ain't nobody gonna help me get this goal. So I got to go out and I got to hustle. I got to grind. I got to do what I need to do in order to feed my family. And I believe that's what it takes for a person to be in business for themselves, grow their own brand, to succeed, to shake the haters off, do what you got to do. You miss out on a lot of things. You miss out on some things, but in a relative scheme of things, they're not very important if you're accomplishing your goal. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly.
So
I look at it too, like I call it the band hall mythology of life. You got those people in band that's like into their own genres of music. They're into their own status of dress. And if you're really talking to them, you know what I mean, they're completely off of societal norms. But if you really have a conversation with these people, their whole life is blissful. They feel fulfilled, you know what I mean? And it's solely off of them just sticking to their own pivot, you know, and kind of honing in on that. You know, you notice a lot of artists that hold that kind of skill where it's like, bro, your whole life is chaotic, or you just got a whole bunch going on, which in your eyes, it's like, bro, this is a lot of chaos. But overall, they're so focused and honed in on their goals, or like the end goal. Like my dad was saying, it's like I really don't care. Everything I've been doing up until this point is like a stepping stone. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like I missed out on much. I don't feel like I'm investing too much or too little. Like I'm doing exactly what I want to do to be fulfilled. You know what I mean? So I think that's just what it takes, just to turn on the blinders and just go for it. Take that route.
So I know that you've curated a lot of things in terms of your brand, of everything that you've conceptualized and developed. What is like the one piece that you've created that you're proud of?
I would say between segmenting out my thoughts between businesses and mantras. So when making Tony Daga, which was the first business I was able to create, it was centered around just creativity. Because who's Tony Shabazz? Like none of it was actually intended to be honed in or taken to be literal, but it was also the space to give myself something to create something that doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? So I gave myself permission in a sense to try something different with developing an alias. And my first goal was to get people to say to me that, you know, that they want to shop Tony Daga. And getting people to say it was like the biggest achievement for me, because it was like it's literally two things that isn't even written, like Tony's Bodega. So putting it together, Tony Daga, you know, for most people don't even put it together, but over time, it's like now that people are looking for, it's like, where's Tony Daga? And, you know, people internalize and growing something that matters is a second one for me, because it's just like, you know, for you to have a conviction of something that push you along, and then say, okay, I'm about to channel the same conviction and try to inspire it to others. And people like, bro, I see it. Like, you growing something, I'm growing something. Like, I got something that matters to me. Like, so it's people getting charged up and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm enjoying pretty much all of it for the most part. Especially how everything is flowing. It's all intended how I want it.
I tell you, the crazy part about it is the first time I even knew about this whole Tony Shabazz thing, I was on the school campus at PV, and ran across somebody and they were like, are you like Tony's dad? I'm like, who? It's like Tony Shabazz. They happen to have like a photo of you in their phone. I'm like, you mean Casey? Who's that?
No, literally.
And so you basically kind of created this concept of something that you wanted, and it just kind of dwarfed into the Grow Something That Matters brand. And I think that was like the craziest interaction that I had. I'm like, these people are calling my son somebody by another name. I don't even know.
Bro, it's like, I teach high school, and every year when I start school, I always pull up my Facebook, show kids pictures of my family and all of that. And I pulled up a picture of Casey. It's like, that's that dude that be making them shorts at PV. I was like, that's my nephew, man. He got his own brand. And one of the kids on my baseball team, I showed him your stuff, and he was interested in it. Now he's doing his own little clothing line. So you're inspiring people, man, that you haven't even met.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. No, that's literally what it's about. And that was really my biggest inspiration, is kind of being on college campus and being around so many different people that I felt were way more creative than me for the most part. And I felt, well, I know in many ways, a lot of them are way more talented, way more gifted. But, I'm blessed and gifted to organize and structure things in a way to where, my goal at that time was to give people a space and platform to showcase their own abilities. You know what I mean? But with being that example, so many other people that come up to me, or I've seen people that have been around me that just was like, bro, this literally is the thing that motivated me to create my own focus, or to expound off of my own thoughts and stuff like that. So, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, that's the whole mission. That's the whole intention behind everything.
So I know that you just finished a Grow Boy camp, and we're not gonna hold you too long, but I do want you to share with the viewers how that camp came about, and talk about some of the successes that you had with that camp, and just the mere reaction of the students that were involved.
Okay. So recently we did a camp called Grow Boy Gridiron, and it was in collaboration with a company called CCA Sports, which they're a company in Houston, but based in Atlanta. They basically help other organizations set up different community events via sports, ideally football, but basically throughout all phases of sports. And we were able to connect with the head football coach at Addicts Middle School in Sunnyside. And I've been wanting to do some type of event like this for a minute, as far as like giving kids a opportunity to kind of get exposure into a different type of space. And that's one thing that I've noticed with kids too, just with substituting or assistant coaching or just interacting with different kids. They want attention. They just want some type of gleam of attention in their lives. And majority of the time it comes from either like a teacher that, that's not their focus, but that's just the proximity of what they had with it. They can just engage with kids, right. But primarily their parents and stuff like that. They want somebody to see what they can do. They want to be challenged. They want to try different things. And I've always felt like sports was that avenue for kids growing up, and it was something of an avenue for myself. It's not something that I needed per se, but it's definitely something that provided me a space to know that I can do anything I set my mind to, literally, and whatever sport and space that you're in, I mean, that's going to be always the thing that you preach to kids, and that you want to do well. You want to win, especially as a coach.
Right.
But,
don't always win though.
No, literally, got to take some L's. But I mean, for the most part, those are the times in your life as a kid. For me, growing up, something that things always in those moments just basically grew up with me for the most part. Just different mantras that coaches would say, whether it's goofy or truly motivating. It was just something within that interaction that gave me a lot more confidence within my day to day. And we were able to collaborate with the school and provide just different drill stations for kids to kind of engage with the sport of football. And, we was blessed enough to have 60 kids come out. We collaborated with three different mentors that was able to speak to them, as well as had a chef to feed up to 60 kids. So it was a great turnout. By the end of the camp, most of the kids was yelling out they wanted to be Grow Boys, they wanted merch. And the coolest thing I wanted to kind of leave them with was something of a self-empowerment. So we ended it off with with them repeating a mantra, I am, I will, I can, and finishing out with grow something that matters. So allowing them to kind of feed themselves that energy that we coach to them so that they know how to encourage themselves. But all around growth, all around, I mean, it says grow boy, but definitely had girls and women is involved as well too. So, I mean, just a small splash to something very big, but it was a test trial for us. And I mean, it was a successful event.
Very good, man. So what's next for young Queso?
Shoot, young Queso period is in the field trying to grow these brands and businesses. My biggest focus right now is to focus on the design of merch with Grow Something That Matters and pushing out that mantra, as well as growing my real estate career. So those are my two focuses at the moment. Anything additional is just add-ons, but many blessings at the end of the day, but definitely my two focuses for sure.
Well, I'm rocking the early merch, you know.
X merch by any means necessary. Growth by any means.
I'm rocking the newest
Girl Boy Spike Lee.
All right. So give us that website where we can patronize you, support you.
GSTM.shop.com. GSTM.shop. Or you can follow me on Instagram at GSTM.us.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for being our first guest. Shout out to Big Queso.
The Scenic route. No better route.
Appreciate you. Well, that's our first pilot guest. So I guess that's a monument for us, Terrence. Now we're gonna get into the segment that I like.
Which one was that?
The funniest thing that ever happened to you, or the funniest thing you ever heard, seen, done.
Well, man, I mean, the funniest thing that I've ever heard or seen was probably the time we made that business decision to go to Pancho's before 3 o'clock service. And you got filled up on those refried beans. and Tony was sitting next to you doing church, and he was real sensitive to the things of God.
That was Tommy Walker.
Tommy Walker.
Tommy Walker.
I didn't want to use his government name. And Tommy says, "The devil was in here. It's a light stench in the air." I couldn't do nothing but laugh because I said, "I know that smell anywhere. That is Pancho's refried beans and enchiladas." You remember Pancho's, man, when you have to raise the flag?
Man, that is for Pancho's, man.
Man, that is a big bag place of refuge.
Hey, man,
you don't have to get up to go get your own food.
Struggle meals,
brother. Back in the day, for $3.89, you can get a whole meal and pay an extra 75 cents for a drink.
For a drink, unlimited drinks,
$7 plus tip. You out.
You out of there.
And fat fool.
Pancho's. What is that? Is that considered Northline?
That was Northline Mall. It was Northline Plaza. It was right before
Northline Plaza.
Yeah.
Right across the street from 2 Pesos.
2 Pesos, only place you can be 16 years old and get a drink.
Drinks with an S. Or just a parking lot like it's a destination.
They wouldn't even call you. 2 Pesos, Bennigan's should have been shut down because they were always serving 16, 17-year-old minors.
Man, don't say nothing bad about Bennigan's, brother. Me and my baby brother lived there on Fridays. dollar bills and 10-cent wings.
It was a meat market, man.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But that's Houston. That's Houston. I wish Bennigan's was still around, man.
You know, they put one out in the Woodlands for a short period of time.
What happened?
Pandemic.
Yeah. Somebody should bring Bennigan's back, man. But shoot, man, my story was I got a couple of them, but I got to kind of temper myself, you know, pace myself on my stories, man. But you remember when you used to look for jobs in the newspaper?
I already know where you're going, player.
No, man, no, man. I was needing a job for the summer, brother. This company was hiring, man. And
of course they were.
They said, come to Greenspoint Mall. We're gonna get you to sell some designer imposters. Designer imposters. Cologne, man. So I went in there. They went to the old sales pitch. Said, now write down 20 names and phone numbers of your closest friends. You can sell the cologne to them. I was like, man, I'm not selling no cologne to my friends, especially designer imposters. If you like Chloe, you will love Red Door. My brother, I was mad. I wasted my time. I put on my church clothes, went in there. I left out of there mad, man. So the next week, I opened up the newspaper. It was another company. It wasn't in Greenspoint, but it was somewhere close in the area. And they were saying it was a inside sales job. So I'm thinking, well, hey, maybe I can do inside sales, not all 20 of my closest friends.
Right.
I get in there, sit down. It's a bunch of other people cattle call. And these people come in there again, man. It was the same freaking people, bro. Imposters. I was livid. Believe it. Man, I got had twice in 2 weeks. Twice. By the same people.
It's because they didn't put an ad in for middle-sized sales.
Outside sales, inside sales. They got me, Terrence. They got me.
We got some middle-of-the-road sales.
They got me, man. I was like, man, I can't believe these people, bro.
Oh my God! I thought you was gonna tell the stuffed animal sales thing.
Oh man, that's next week. That's the Didi story. That's next week, man. That's next week.
That's a heck of a tease.
Yeah, it is. But that's gonna wrap up our first pilot episode. If you like this episode, stay tuned. Every week we're gonna feature a small business owner. We'll talk more about them, shout them out, give them their props, hear their stories, see where they come from and where they're going. So until next week, this is AJ York signing off, and
this is T York
signing off. We'll see you next week. And thank you for taking the scenic route with us. Let me find the button.